Okay, so we're gonna get into the Haitian Revolution. So it's a popular campfire story, in most Caribbean communities or African American or African communities. Campfire stories about how the Haitian Revolution was won by voodoo, about how the native people of Haiti used voodoo to win their independence, in which that's completely false. Now, whether you believe in voodoo or not, that's up to you, but there was no voodoo involved in what was going on. So there were some strange things in Haiti happening, but most of this whole myth revolves around Francis Macondo, which was a Maroon leader, and the ceremony of, I think it's pronounced Boris Cayman, that was led by Duty Bookman and some other leaders. And shortly after that meeting in the forest, the Haitian Revolution kicked off. So basically, we're gonna get around to how this came about. Okay, so Francis Macondo, born 1730, died 1758. He was a Haitian Maroon leader in the French colony of Saint Dominique, present day Haiti. He was sometimes called a Haitian voodoo priest or Hogan, however you pronounce it, for joining Maroons to kill slave owners. Some people say that Macondo was a Muslim, and some people say he wasn't. That's up for debate. People associate Macondo with using black magic or voodoo because he was very good with the use of poison, which derived from knowing how to use natural plants. He would mix different plants together to create poison, and he would give poison to the slaves to poison the slave masters, and then they would attack. He launched this type of guerrilla warfare from the forest for, I think, maybe, who knows how many years, maybe 10 or 18 years, maybe. Some people say he was from Senegal or Mali. Some people say he repeated the Muslim prayer, the Shahada. It's a lot of he say, she say when it comes to this guy's background. Don't know if he was actually Muslim or a voodoo priest. So Macondo created poisons from the island herds. He distributed the poison to slaves who added it to the meals and refreshments to the meals refreshed they served the French plantation owners and planters. He became a charismatic guerrilla leader who united different maroon bands and created a network of secret organizations connected with slaves still on plantations. Okay, so some sources say Macondo was at large for 18 years, living in the mountains but making frequent incursions on the plantations to deliver death. So he is basically, for 18 years, he was living on the large. He was launching guerrilla warfare from the forest onto the plantations by delivering poison and then attacking. He organized a network of devoted followers and taught the slaves how to make poison. This is why he was associated a lot with voodoo, because he knew how to mix plants and herbs to create poison, which he would give it to slaves and it would kill the slave masters. Okay. His reputation was such that the French document of 1758 estimates, with much exaggeration, no doubt, but that the number of deaths he provoked was 6,000 over 3 years. Okay, so sometimes Macondo would use practical symbolism to explain his vision for Saint Dominique. Here are the first inhabitants of Saint Dominique. They are yellow. Here are the present inhabitants. And he showed the white handkerchief. And here are the last, and those who were, and here are the last, those who will remain the masters of this island. And he showed the black handkerchief. So he showed a yellow handkerchief saying that these were the first inhabitants. That represents the native people of the island. And he showed the present people there of the island represented by the white handkerchief, which are the Europeans. Then he showed the black handkerchief represented by the Africans who were there, who said that those will be the remaining masters of the island. And if you really think about it, Macondo, a lot of the things that Macondo said actually did come true. So I mean, I'm not really a superstitious person, but I mean, a lot of the things that he said did come true. To turn his prophecy into reality, Macondo planned to poison the wells of the city of Cap Francis. Once the slave owners were dead or in the middle of convulsions, the old man from the mountain, as Macondo was sometimes called, followed by his captains and lieutenants, would attack the city and kill all the remaining whites. Before he could launch his assault, however, a slave betrayed him and he was caught. Okay, so legends claim that Macondo carefully built an extensive network of resistance among the enslaved people of the northern province, included those who worked as merchants traveling from the labor camp to labor camp, claiming to have supernatural abilities and having prophesied that enslaved people ultimately would have their freedom and independence. McConnell was able to successfully organize the different Maroon groups to cooperate their activities. According to D. Vassir, Makanda was more than simply a leader of the Maroon bands. Not that he disdained the pillaging and ransacking of plantations or the theft of cattle and other ordinary exploits of fugitive slaves, but he seemed at the same time to have sensed the possibility of creating out of Marinette a center of organized black resistance against the whites. Macondo seems to have had a solid understanding of racial origins and the development of Saint Dominique. One famous account of his life described a speech he made. Macondo gathered a large group of followers and had a vase full of water brought to him, in which he placed three scarves, one yellow, one white, one black. Again, this is the speech that we just went over. Pulling out the yellow scarf first, he told his listeners this represents the original inhabitants of Saint Dominique. They were yellow. These, he said, pulling out the white scarf, are the present inhabitants. Here, finally, are those who will remain masters of the island. It is the black scarf, representing the black people. So that's for those people who seem to think that the indigenous people of the islands in the Americas were black. Here you have it from a condo and black person saying no, the original inhabitants of the islands in the Americas are yellow. So the French, fearing a revolution, tortured an ally of Macondo into divulging information that led to his capture. He was made to kneel in the plaza of Lee Cap wearing a sign that read seducer or whatever it's pronounced, profaner, poisoner. He then was tied to a post in the center of the plaza and a fire was lit underneath him. As the flame reached his body, he struggled to break free, and the post to which he was attached gave away. The African people in the watching crowd shouted, "Macondo saved!" and panic broke out. The soldiers quickly cleared the plaza, and Macondo was tied to the board and thrown back into the fire. Macondo had often boasted that he was able to change form, and before his execution, he declared that he would transform into a fly to escape the flames. Few saw him die, and many believed that he had indeed escaped the flames and was once again in the hills plotting a new insurrection. So a lot of people that didn't get to see McConnell's death, they were still convinced that his words would come true or that he escaped death. And 33 years past McConnell's execution, the system of domination was disturbed in quite another way. Boys came in the 1771 general uprising. Then, on January the 1st, 1804, Haitians' Declaration of Independence validated Francis McConnell's prophecy. Moreover, historian Philippe R. Garrett suggests as proof of McConnell's mystical influence the fact that the French expeditionary army was strongly affected in the summer of 1802 by yellow fever that it transmitted by mosquito bites, considering that McConnell had promised, if captured, to turn into a mosquito. So this is where some of this stuff comes from. Some of McConnell's prophecies ended up happening. While he was burnt alive, the stake broke and he escaped, and they put him back on there, and he said that he would turn into a winged beast and fly away. And so, of course, superstitious people thought that he escaped death and would live on. And then, especially years later, after the Haitian Revolution and the French army getting yellow fever through mosquito bites, this only led fed more into the lore of Francis McConnell and his voodoo. Okay, so now we're going to fast forward to August the 14th, 1791. The meeting in the forest of Bois Cayman, led by Duty Bookman and other Africans. Now, this is where a lot of people say that this was supposed to be a big voodoo ceremony. So, with only slight exaggeration, one can say that the reputation of voodoo as a unifying and revolutionary force begins with the ceremony of Bois Cayman. Despite the general acceptance of the myth and most popular accounts of the revolution, some Haiti scholars have disputed whether the ceremony actually took place. And one in particular, Leon Francis Hoffman, proposed in 1991 that the story was fabricated by malevolent by malevolent French colonist and plantation physician Antoine Dalmas, whose intention was to denigrate the slaves and distance the French elites from the African insurgents. Hoffman's claims were within the Haitian studies community at the time, and the debate was rekindled by the publication of David Gigas' Haitian Revolutionary Studies in 2002. After taking a thorough look at Hoffman's claims, sources, and alternative accounts, Gigas concludes that the ritual ceremony probably did take place sometime around August 21st, but the facts pertaining to it, which are thin on the ground, have been significantly embellished by subsequent historians seeking to emphasize the African and slave led currents within the revolution and therefore at the foundation of the Haitian nation. So, Dalmas' account is based on the testimony of three slaves captured after the initial well documented public gathering of the slave elites. from 100 different plantations at the Lindermad de Mizzi estate on Sunday, August 14th, and a alleged smaller gathering took place a few days later in a wooded area called Le Camin, aka the alligator, which a pig was sacrificed, its blood drunk, and its hairs taken to make protective amulets. According to Dalamis, the captive said that this pig was surrounded by fetishes and sacrificed to an all-powerful spirit of the black race, and that was it. In 1953, the Haitian historian and diplomat, Dante Bellegarde would describe the Boys Came ceremony in ways that had by then become familiar to all elite educated school children in Haiti. During the night of August 14, 1791, in the midst of the forest called Bois Cayman, on the Morne Road in the Northern Plain, the slaves held a large meeting to draw up a final plan for the revolt. They consisted of about 200 slave drivers sent from various plantations in the region. Presiding over the assembly was a black man named Bookman, whose fiery words exalted conspirators. So, before they separated, they held amidst a violent rainstorm and impressive ceremony so as to solemnize the undertakings they made. While the storm raged and lightning shot across the sky, a tall black woman appeared suddenly in the center of the gathering, armed with a long pointed knife that she waved before her head. She performed a sinister dance, singing an African song, which the others, face down against the ground, repeated as a chorus. A black pig was then dragged in front of her, and she split it open with her knife. The animal's blood was collected in a wooden bowl and served still foaming to each delegate. At a signal from the priest, they all threw themselves on their knees and swore blindly to obey the orders of Bookman, who had been proclaimed the supreme chief of the rebellion. He announced as his choice the principal lieutenants as follows. So, how did the story of Boys Came and develop from such a basic schematic account to the established myth we know today? And more specifically, how did the characters of Duty Bookman, Huggin, Rebel Leader, and Okay, so as Gigas conventionally argues, the two meetings, one large, open, and public, and the other smaller and clandestine, seem to have been conflated over time. The first historic account to the event, Dom's Histoire de la Révolution de Saint Dominique, reportedly written 2 or 3 years after the event, but not published until 1814, clearly distinguishes between the two. It was the first meeting Dominus claims that the plans for the rebellion were drawn up. This was followed shortly afterwards by a second, smaller gathering at which a pig was sacrificed and its blood was drunk. The second historical version of events, also alleged based on eyewitness accounts, was Hernard Dominus's voyage d'Anly Nord de Haiti of 1824. He was a senator from the southern city, and according to Gigas, he seems to have drawn on local oral history. It also distinguishes between the two meanings the pig sacrifice occurred at the second. So, one of the first Haitian born writers to study the tradition in depth was Arthur C. Holly, whose Les Demones du Côté Voodoo 1918 was intended to counter the negative stereotyping of voodoo being exploited by U.S. Marines in the first few years of occupation. So, as you can read from here, and this goes on, that the stories and accounts from the secret meeting vary based on a lot of people. There's a lot of discrepancies. There was also two of them, but what it all boils down to is that what happened in the meeting, so calledly, according to two of the captives who claimed they were there, in which it wasn't even written about until 2 years. Excuse me, it wasn't even documented until 2 years after the event that happened. But according to the people, the captives who were there, according to them, they did a ceremony. A tall black woman with a knife appeared, and they split open a pig and drank the pig's blood. And then the next day or night, they all went out and they set fire to all of the plantations in Haiti. And as you know, that's when the Haitian Revolution kicked off. And they ended up winning their independence. Later on, some of the French army caught yellow fever from the mosquito bites. And then, shortly after that, Haiti got its recognition as independence. Okay, then after the Haitian Revolution, after the French left, a lot of people don't talk about that. Basically, the French were going to come back to Haiti with larger armies and get them all in check and, basically defeat them. But in order for them to not do that, Haiti basically paid the French to just let them be. Um, Over the next century, Haiti paid French slaveholders and their descendants the equivalent of between 20 to 30 million to 30 billion in today's dollars. So this is the reason why Haiti is still poor to this day. After they gained their independence, they basically paid France so much to basically leave them alone and not come back with large military droves to destroy them and just let them be independent. So Haiti basically paid France to leave them alone. And they're kind of still in debt to this day, which is why Haiti is remained a poor third world country. So the French forced formerly enslaved Haitians at gunpoint to pay reparations to the people who had enslaved them. And this is how Haiti became or remained in debt to France after that Haitian Revolution. So it's up to you if you really want to think that from the ceremony of boys came in that a black woman really appeared out of nowhere with a knife. They split open a goat, and Dewey Bookman was pronounced the leader, and that's the one. If you choose to believe that, then you're a superstitious person. Then okay, but logically, no. That more than likely never happened. They gained independence through guerrilla warfare and poisoning the water, poisoning the slave owners, and then attacking while setting ablaze to all plantations across the island until they won independence. And that is how they won it. You all have a good day.